Unbroken, the podcast with Madeleine Black. Healing through storytelling.
Hello and welcome to Unbroken, the podcast with me, Madeleine Black. Today, my guest is Khristee Rich. Khristee is a holistic healer and a spiritual teacher who works with empaths, highly sensitive women, and creates to overcome their greatest pain from chronic illness, chronic pain, abuse, and trauma, so that they can live their life, greatest joy, and live a life beyond their wildest dreams. With her Reiki, Shamanism blend, and skills being a clairvoyant, a medium, and an empath, she inspires and empowers her clients to be their own health advocate, to persevere and to dream big so that they can step out from behind the curtain and joyfully live the life that they were meant to live. Welcome, Khristee. It is a delight to have you here on my show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. It's a delight for me to be on your show.
Great.
Likewise.
Yeah, so the first question I always ask everyone is, what does the word unbroken mean to you?
Unbroken. So unbroken would mean persevering. No matter what happens in life, to know that you are spirit, that you are courageous, and that nothing can stop you. You are unstoppable.
I absolutely love that. In fact, yesterday I had a guest on called Unstoppable Tracy, who is unstoppable, but that was also her take on the word. And you really know the word perseverance more than anyone. Can you take us back to when you were 21 and life kind of started to change for you?
Yes, so when I was 21, I was living overseas. I did my junior year abroad. And while I was there, I got very ill. And so at first it just seemed like a normal flu and I thought it would go away in time, but it didn't go away. I didn't get better. And this ended up becoming a chronic illness for 15 years.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when you say it felt like a chronic flu, you felt like you had flu for the whole 15 years. What were the symptoms? What was it doing to you?
Well, it really progressed. So in the beginning, it was your normal flu with the fever and the achiness and all of that. And, I was overseas, so I didn't have my normal doctors. So they prescribed some antibiotics.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I took them and still just never felt well. So I had stomach issues and I went back home and I had the whole digestion problems with the diarrhea and the constipation and just not feeling good, not feeling energized anymore, just really starting to become chronically fatigued.
Mm-hmm.
So I, of course, then went to my doctors in the States and they ran every single test imaginable. They did find out that I did have a parasite. So for a while I was being treated for that, but they said it was a controversial parasite. And
controversial parasite.
yeah, so they said for some people who had this specific parasite, they didn't have any symptoms. So clearly I wasn't in that category. I did have symptoms. They said other people were given medication, and then with medication it went away, they were fine. And then with other people, medication did not help. So they had to just let it pass through their body, and in time they would get well. So they actually put me on antibiotics for 2.5 years.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
a long time.
A long time. Yes. And as most people know, antibiotics kill all the bad bacteria, but also the good bacteria. So we also have good bacteria in our body, which helps us to be well, to fight infection.
Your defense mechanism, I'm imagining, was shot. It must have been rubbish if you're on antibiotics for so long.
Yeah. So then from the antibiotics, I then developed more symptoms and got sicker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then all my good bacteria was gone. And then I really developed terrible stomach issues, pain, as well as food allergies. All of a sudden, I couldn't eat wheat or soy or dairy. I was very sensitive to sugar. So all of a sudden, I was just spiraling down and getting sicker and sicker. So to make a long story short, after I graduated from college, I went to my primary healthcare doctor. Again, he ran every single test, couldn't find anything wrong. Okay, so at this point, they weren't even looking at the parasite anymore. They were just like, there's nothing. So then I was like,
your health is declining when they're saying there's nothing.
I know. So I was, dumbfounded. This was the first time I'd ever really been chronically ill. All of my life, I had been very healthy. I remember one time getting the chicken pox and missing a week of school, but other than that, I attended school all the time, didn't miss. And so when doctors said there was nothing wrong, I was a bit confused. And then they said, well, you're just depressed. You have all the symptoms of depression, okay? You have very little energy. It's hard to get out of bed in the morning. You're not really driven like you used to be in college. That's depression.
They saw that all as a kind of like a lethargy, and they
Yes.
accused it was depression.
Yes. And they didn't look at all the symptoms. They didn't look at the full range of symptoms. They were just focusing on that, the fatigue being the greatest debilitating symptom for me. So they said I should take antidepressants, and I knew I was very sensitive to medication. I knew I was not depressed. I was a very positive, happy person all of my life. And so I said, no, I said, this is not the issue. I'm not depressed. So then they said, well, there's nothing we can do for you. It's depression. Go to a therapist or take medication. That's all we can offer.
And you just didn't want to take these antidepressants. You refused.
No, I knew it wouldn't help. Actually, briefly, I did take one and it gave me panic attacks. So again, it made the symptoms worse. I had panic attacks, and then I had, again, worse stomach pain. So it was just like debilitating. So I said, nope, after a week of that, I'm not taking any antidepressants. And so then I went to alternative health and wellness for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So I said,
what's the time span? Because I know you were chronically ill for about 15 years, weren't you?
Yeah, so this is still in the beginning. So this was right after I graduated from college. So still in my early 20s. So then I went to an acupuncturist, and I was very curious because I had heard about Eastern philosophy being very different from Western philosophy, Western medicine. And so I was very curious what this acupuncturist was going to say. Okay, so my doctor had said depression, everything else is fine. What can he find? And so I went to him, had a session, and then I was really surprised because instead of him saying, okay, well, this organ and this organ is imbalanced, and this is what you need to do, and this is what herb you need to take, he said, you are just stressed. Okay. You are in the real world. You're no longer in college, having fun, doing all that stuff, having no responsibility. You're just stressed. Go have some fun.
So that's not what you wanted to hear.
No, because
you were desperately seeking the reasons why this was happening.
Yes, and I didn't have the energy to go out and have fun. I didn't feel well. So again, I was confused. I had tried Western medicine, I had tried Eastern philosophy, and no one was able to help me. So it was at that point I realized I had to become my own health advocate, that I had to do my own research, that I had to try everything on my own and figure it out on my own. So that's what I did. I empowered myself. I started doing lots of research about alternative health and wellness, learning about vitamins, learning about supplements, learning about herbs, learning about all different healing modalities, trying everything.
And you researched this by going to courses, by looking on the internet, reading books. How did you research it all?
Everything. So I read lots of books, I went online, did lots of research, and just really dug deep, just asked questions and just dug deep. I went to so many different healing practitioners, everything you can imagine, things you may not have even heard of, and I talked to them. I got their perspective, so I kept on trying to get well.
I'm interested to hear the ones that I haven't heard of.
Iridology, have you ever?
Yes, with your eyes.
Yes, with eyes, yes.
There you go.
And then breath therapy. So that was something.
Done transformational breath work.
Okay, well then you are on top of the game. So a lot of people aren't familiar with those techniques.
Oh, the breath work was amazing.
Yes. So the breath therapist, she also did EFT, and this was years and years ago before I think EFT really became as popular as it is today. So I was trying everything. I mean, really everything. And I did reflexology, I did Qigong, I did yoga, I did everything. So anyway, finally I said, okay, you have got to do everything that you can. I was going to this breath therapist, and I was looking for signs. What can I do to get better? There's got to be a reason why I'm sick. There has to be a root cause. There has to be a solution to this. And there was this poster in the waiting room of this Russian shaman who was coming to New York. And I was living in Connecticut in a very conservative town. There were no shamans ever passing through. And so to see this in my hometown, I was like, what is this? This is wild. Like, who is this person? I was intrigued. And so as soon as I met with the practitioner, I said, hey, I saw this poster and it's of a Russian shaman coming to the area. What do you think about that? And she said, Khristee, he's fabulous. He got sponsored to come up here. I'm going to take his course. You should take it too. So that's how I got into studying Russian shamanism.
What is the difference between Russian shamanism and shamanism that we, I think of Native American shamanism? What is the difference?
Yeah. Shamanism actually began in Russia. Most people do not know that. So it started in Siberia. That's where it originated from. And then in time, Native American traditions adopted it. And in time, it became also this fusion. So a lot of people do a fusion with shamanism. Yes. So for Russian shamanism, it has a lot to do with connecting to Mother Earth, to connecting to herbs and healing through herbs, also energy work, healing through meditation, healing through breath, and also connecting with the astral plane, with our ancestors, with our guides, with our spirit, to know that we are spirit in a physical body. And so it's very natural. It's a very natural form of healing.
It's really about landing back in your body then, really, isn't it?
Yes, yes, really connecting to the body and the spirit. Okay, so to realize the connection between the two, and also using the power of imagination and creativity to heal. Okay, so it doesn't have the music, it doesn't have the drumming like in Native American culture, but it still has some movement exercises and meditation. So it's very special.
So you went along to this course, and what did you think when you first met him? Does he have a name, the person that you went to see?
I think he's actually changed his name. So he used to be referred to as Dr. Gregory, and now I believe he calls himself Master Gregory.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And what did you think when you first went? Did you feel like I've come home? This is the place I'm meant to be, or was it strange at first, or?
It was just very interesting. I was just very intrigued, and it was playful and it was fun. So I enjoyed that. So I would just let my imagination go, and I learned so much. So it was really like school. It was really like being back in school and learning and being very interested in the studies. So I was fascinated by it. I ended up studying with him for his whole modern day mystery school. That was 9 different sessions that were all weekend long, Saturday and Sunday, all day long, and just fascinated by it. So I studied with him in 2003. I think I began studying with him. And then a few months later, I found a yoga teacher, again in Connecticut, and she was a Reiki master. So then I started going to her classes, and then told her I had a chronic illness, even though she couldn't see, because I had this invisible chronic illness that I looked fine, but I felt terrible. So she said, well, come for a Reiki session. So I started going to her for Reiki sessions, and I felt so relaxed and so peaceful. And I felt
amazing Reiki. If nobody has ever experienced it, I hope you just get a chance to go, because it's just incredible. They don't even touch you, and the energy, the aliveness that you feel inside is just amazing. I love it.
Yes, I love it too. So I felt so good, and I felt like we're getting somewhere. I'm feeling better. This is really good. Let's continue. And she said, well, Khristee, you can learn this and do it on yourself. Do it on your own. Do it anytime you want. And I said, you can? That's amazing. Let's do that. Teach me how to do it. So then I started working with her. She trained me to become a Reiki practitioner. And then I started working with clients. So then I started blending the two, the shamanism and the Reiki. I created my own blend, and I saw clients, and it was very powerful. It's very powerful to bring them together.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
But you finally did get your diagnosis, didn't you, many years later? You did finally work out what this mysterious, hidden, energy draining thing was.
Yes. So it was 15 years later that I finally got a diagnosis from the doctor. And so again, throughout the whole time, I had been very proactive. I was still going to doctors, still saying, test me for something else, something's wrong. They said everything's fine. They tested everything. But finally, I found a specialist who was willing to do further testing. I had brought in notes of every single test I had, every single escalation of symptom that I had. And again, at this point, it was a very long list. And he said, I believe you. And so he did some further testing.
But what did that feel like to have
Oh,
somebody
amazing.
say, I
Amazing.
believe you?
It felt amazing because
you
at
must
this
have
point,
thought that I'm going a bit mad. I know I've got this and nobody can find what it is. It must have been hard to hold on to that.
yeah, so I never felt that I was crazy, but I felt like no one took me seriously.
Yeah.
I felt that doctors didn't take me seriously. They thought I was depressed. And then, as I mentioned, acupuncturists thought I was just stressed. And finally, because I kept on going back to them again and again, they thought I was a hypochondriac.
Yeah.
And then my friends didn't believe me. My friends just thought I was lazy and I wasn't taking on the real world. Even my family wasn't supportive of me. So I was losing friends, I was losing family. So it was a very difficult
It
time.
must have been a very isolating, lonely time to have
Yes.
nobody support you. So when you finally heard this doctor say, I believe you, Khristee, it must have been like, wow, amazing.
Yes, yes. So I
Yeah.
felt so good. I felt heard. And then I came back a week later and he said, Khristee, I am so glad we did some further testing because I have discovered the root cause of your illness. And I was so excited. I was like, okay, what is it? What is it? He's like, Khristee, you have extremely high levels of heavy metals in your blood.
And until you had told me this, I hadn't really heard much about it. I know people can get, poisoned from paint, or they can get dampness in their system, but I didn't really know about heavy metals. It really, educated me when you first told me about it. So explain to people that are listening, what are heavy metals, high levels of heavy metals in your system?
So what I had lead and mercury. So heavy metals are metals that you can get into your body, get into your system that are from our environment. So from actual metals. So it can be mercury, it can be lead, it can be aluminum, it can be many different other metals as well, even be arsenic. Okay, so
But you
they
would
are.
imagine this would happen to somebody that was working in an environment, I don't know, a factory, a yard, where they're surrounded by it, but you didn't have huge contact with these heavy metals. So it's a bit of a
No.
mystery how they landed in your system.
Exactly, exactly. So when I got this diagnosis, I was happy and relieved that somebody finally heard me and that there was a reason, there was a root cause, it was confirmed. But then I was very confused. I was like, how did this happen to me? And how did I become so sick and no one noticed this before? I mean, clearly he found it in my blood and it was very high. And so I was very confused.
Did they have an answer? How you
No.
got it? No.
No. He said my levels were extremely high. He'd never seen such high levels before, and that he would report me to the state so that the state would know that I had been exposed to environmental hazard. So then I became then a statistic. So now I'm one of the statistics of people in Connecticut who have been exposed to
Sounds like you're in
environmental.
trouble, doesn't it? Report you to the state.
No. But I was amazed. And so he said, Khristee, you're going to have to go to a toxicologist. I am not a specialist in this field, so I cannot help you.
But the fact that you became a statistic means that they do count these high levels in people. So it's not unusual, but it's just not very heard of, really, is it? It's not, can't be that uncommon if you're, reported as a can't say that, statistic.
Well, it's very unhealthy. Heavy metals are very unhealthy and possibly deadly. So it is important for people to know, how safe of an environment they're in. I don't know if you ever watched the movie Aaron Brockovich.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, so that is really letting people know that there are certain areas, that are very unhealthy because of, leaching out from plants.
And within your area, is there a higher percentage of people that are affected by this, or is no?
I mean, I have no idea.
Or anything, or
as far as I know, there's nothing dangerous. There's no chemical plant in Connecticut. And again, I haven't always lived in Connecticut. So I was overseas when I got sick. I was in London. And then from there, I went all around Europe, and then I went into Africa. So it's possible I could have gotten these while I was traveling. So there's no way for me to know. There's no way to trace it back. But the important thing was I needed to get them out of my system.
Absolutely.
So he said I should go to a toxicologist, that I should have chelation therapy. So
Yes, and this was also the first time I heard this word from you, chelation, which is a little bit
therapy.
like chemotherapy, but it's not chemotherapy. And he wanted you to take this treatment for a year.
Yes, he said it would take at least a year of weekly treatments to get all the heavy metals out.
And what
So
does weekly treatments involve? What's
yeah, so with chelation therapy, like you mentioned, it is like chemotherapy. So they have to put the substances in to your body through an IV and then let it pass all throughout. And so it takes everything out that's good. It strips out all the vitamins, all the minerals, okay? Like I talked about earlier with the antibiotics, how that strips out all the good bacteria and how that makes people sick. But the same thing happens with chelation therapy, is that it takes out all those vital important minerals and vitamins that we need to survive.
And it also
So
had some pretty gruesome side effects as well as doing that, didn't it?
yes, exactly. So the side effects are, it could be extremely painful because it takes out all of those, you know, vitamins and minerals, but also it can lead to possible paralysis,
Yeah.
brain damage, and even death.
So what did you say when they said this is what you need?
Well, when he first said what I needed, I didn't know what chelation therapy was. I was like you. So I went home and I did research. And when I researched, this is why I discovered that it could possibly cause brain damage, paralysis, and death. And, first when I was there meeting with him, he said, your levels are so high that you should have had paralysis or brain damage. And it's a miracle that you didn't. So then when I heard that my treatment could then cause these symptoms, which I didn't suffer, and possibly something worse, death, I said, no way am I going to go through that. Yes. So then I said, Khristee, you are a healer. You can heal yourself. You can get over this, treat yourself. So then I again did the research. I went online and I found out there were natural food and supplements that I could take that had no side effects. Okay. Yeah.
What kind of foods then would it be that you took? I'm just really interested.
Yeah, so there are many foods that are naturally chelating. So again, chelating means that you have to take a substance which will attach to the heavy metals to draw them out. So heavy metals do not come out of the body naturally over time. They must have something to attach them to draw them out. So there are different foods that are naturally chelating, such as cilantro and such as chlorella. So I decided to take both of those.
The cilantro, I think we call that coriander. Is that the same?
Yes. I think there may be a slight difference that coriander is the seed. I'm not exactly sure, but cilantro and coriander, same family, definitely. Yes. So anyway, I decided that I would take these foods every single day and that I would get well in 1 month.
And you did.
So I set my goal. Yes, I set my goal. And that's what I did. I just said, okay, every single day you're going to make food that has cilantro in it and it has chlorella in it, and you are going to start meditating. So I meditated for the first time in my life. I had never meditated before, but I just said, let's sit down, let's meditate for 20 minutes, twice a day, every day, clear your mind, fill it with positivity. I told myself every single day, Khristee, you're going to get well, you're going to get better in 1 month, you're going to feel great and amazing. And I made myself go outside for a walk every day and just walk up and down my cul-de-sac. So again, at this point, I was, very weak, very just lethargic, no energy. My muscles had atrophied from not being able to do exercise and to move very much. So it was a struggle, but I said, you have to do it. You've got to also move your body. And so they were actually drawing my blood every 3 to 4 days because my levels were so high and they were concerned that my levels could be possibly increasing. That's what they thought. So they were afraid that they could possibly be getting higher. So they were monitoring me.
Okay.
So every 3 to 4 days, I had my blood drawn. And what they found was that through that month, my levels were going down and down and down instead of up.
And then they couldn't believe it, huh?
Yeah, no, they couldn't believe it. They're like, what's happening? And then at the end of the month, my level was 0.
Wow.
It's all the way down to 0 in 1 month.
It's the most amazing thing, isn't it? 15 years of all that misdiagnosis and not being believed, and a month of focus and attention to healing yourself, setting those intentions, it's incredible story, incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, they said it would take at least a full year of chelation therapy once a week, which again could possibly have caused paralysis, brain damage, and death, and was also extremely costly. I couldn't even afford it. I didn't have insurance that would cover it. Not all insurance will cover
Let's not talk
chelation
about
therapy.
your health insurance system. That's just crazy to us. We don't understand it. We have the NHS is very odd. But yeah,
I
it
know.
cost you a fortune. But so you really healed yourself, really.
Yes. Yes, I did. Yes.
It's
And
really quite a remarkable story. And I bet you were a phenomena to them as well. Or did they believe that you had healed yourself?
they didn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of doctors do not believe in miracles. They believe in science. And so I actually had one toxicologist who said, I don't believe you ever really had it. That the labs must have made a mistake. They must have made a mistake again and again. And I'm just like,
really herbs and all these potions, they go back hundreds and thousands of years to our grandmothers, creating them years and years ago. Even now, like if you're going for a walk in the park and you get stung by a stinging nettle, you look for a dock leaf because that takes away the pain. There's so many things that we use plants and nature and herbs for, and yet they just dispelled you. They didn't believe it.
Yes, I know. But I believed. I knew I could get well once I knew the root cause.
Looking at you, you've always been the vision of health, because people that aren't watching this, that are listening, you just glow. You have this beautiful golden aura about you. I've always noticed that from when we first met. It's amazing. You really are a picture of health, literally.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now you use your skills that you learned really the hard way with yourself, and you help other women to heal themselves.
Yes, exactly. So now I have made it my mission to empower other women with their health and wellness. And so I help women to overcome chronic illness, to overcome trauma, to overcome debilitating emotions, anger, grief, depression, anxiety, and to do it 100% naturally.
Yeah. And you get great results.
Yes, and I get great results. So I help them to heal very quickly and joyfully, and they get very quick results. Yes.
Brilliant. And you believe, because you've got all this all these mixed messages, you believe that it really was the heavy metals, and you just cured it using all the herbs and all the meditation and setting your focus and intention.
Yes, absolutely. It was definitely the heavy metals. And the important thing for people to understand is that it was the holistic approach that helped me. So before then, doctors did see that I had some symptoms, and they did try to give me medication piecemeal for every single symptom that I had. Oh, you have a migraine, take this medication. Oh, you have upset stomach, take this medication. Oh, you have acid reflux, take this medication. Can't sleep, take this medication. But they were never looking for the root cause. They were never looking to see how all of these pieces together made sense of what was going on in the body. So once I figured out the root cause, once I got clear about that, and then once I addressed it holistically, mind, body, and spirit, that's how I was able to heal.
And holistic, so a lot of really looking at the bigger picture, isn't it? As you said, involving all of us, mind, and spirit.
Yes, so holistic is the whole journey, and it's mind, body, and spirit. So a lot of people have come to me who have had heavy metals themselves, and a lot of them had said, just tell me what you took. And I said, well, it's not that simple, because you really need to address it holistically. You really need to see your whole history. And like you said, you need to see, is it just the heavy metals that you are struggling with, or is it something else in addition to that? And then also you need to address it mind, body, and spirit. So it's not just that I took the cilantro and the chlorella, but it's also what I did for my mind, that I was really positive, that I believed that I could get well, that I meditated, that I cleared my mind, and that I also exercised.
Yeah, you were very open to that. You intentionally drove that, and that was your mission, really, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't just, I'm going to take these herbs and that would be it. It was really, you opened up your whole being to, no, I am going to heal myself.
Yes, and I really connected to my spirit too. So that was really the beginning of me becoming a spiritual person.
Yeah, because there's a sense that, you know, if you didn't have this chronic illness, you wouldn't be the healer, the shaman that you are today.
Yes, yes. So many people call that a wounded healer.
Yes.
Wounded healers are those who have gone on the journey, they've gone through the pain so that they can then help others. They have all this knowledge based on their experience and they know how to help you. So
Yes.
I feel that I have so much empathy for others who have struggled, who have tried everything to no avail, who have been told that they can't get better. Okay, so finally doctors did tell me that I couldn't get better. At the end, I was given a diagnosis before the real diagnosis that I had fibromyalgia. And doctor said, you have all the symptoms of fibromyalgia, you just have to accept it. And I said, no, you know, I'm not going to just accept a label because it's a label. You're not telling me the root cause. So I want people to know that no matter.
That there must be some people that go, okay, fine, I've got fibromyalgia, I'll always have it and I'll never get better. And they just accept that.
Yes, yes, there's many people that accept that because that's what doctors tell them to do. And people look up to doctors.
Yes.
Yes. So then they lose hope.
So where did this defiance in you not to listen to the diagnosis come from? Or has it always been like that?
No, because I connected with my spirit. So again, I grew up going to doctors. I grew up believing everything they said. And also my parents did too. So they were just like, Khristee, whatever the doctor says, do it. Take the antidepressants, just do it. They know. But I knew my body and I knew how I felt. And I knew that something was physically wrong. So I just felt that there was more to it than just my mental state. And then also when I was going through the dark night of the soul, when I was really so depressed and I was in bed and I was crying. And then that's when I connected and I said, Khristee, you are not your illness. You are not your symptoms. You are your spirit and you will get over this. And I just said this over and over and over again inside like a mantra. And that I believe is what helped me to get over it. Because I could have said, okay, I've got fibromyalgia. I'm never going to get better. I've tried so much for 15 years. This is it. This is as good as it's going to get. I don't know why this happened, but it did. But instead I said, no, I am my spirit. And that is what helped me to get over it. And that is why I can help other people as well.
And it's a beautiful mantra to have, because I also believe, you know, we're not what happens to us. We're so much more than that. And it's the same message really, isn't it? Exactly the same, that we're not the labels. Even if you did accept it, it still wouldn't be the labels that people put on us.
No, our spirit is limitless. Yes, we are not our labels. I think that's very important for people to know.
Really important. Yes. So as we're kind of coming to the end here, can you tell me, do you have any tips that you would give to people that are listening right now? Things that really helped you along the way? You know, what would you say to someone that was listening that was struggling with their health or their mind or overcoming some kind of trauma right now?
Well, I would say to be gentle with themselves, not to judge themselves, to make sure they're sending love to themselves. Love is one of the greatest healers, okay? When we criticize ourselves, when we put ourselves down, that doesn't help us. That instead is a huge block, a huge wall we're putting up to achieve our desires. So I would say, one, be gentle with yourself. And then I would say, believe that you can overcome your obstacle. Believe that you can get better. You must believe. Okay. So as Michael Dooley says, thoughts become things. If you believe you can get well, you can get well. If you believe you cannot get well, no matter what you're taking, all the good vitamins, all the good nutrition, you will not get well if you believe you cannot get well. So I recommend that people truly believe mind over matter. It's very, very powerful.
It's a little bit like, if you think you're wrong, then you're right. And if you think you're right, then you're right.
Yes, exactly. Perfect. Yes. And then, of course, I would recommend them to set up a session with me, to work with me, to really get deeper, to transform. Because a lot of us need a guide. We need somebody who will keep us accountable so that we improve ourselves, so that we can get over our self-limiting beliefs and our patterns, our habits that are not healthy, and to help us to really change and to give us some, you know, recommended action steps so that we have guidance and know what to do going forward.
Sure. And how do people get in touch with you if they want to find out more about what you do?
So they can take a look at my website. My website is thedancingcurtain.com. So www.thedancingcurtain.com. They can also find me on Facebook at The Dancing Curtain and also Instagram at Khristee Rich.
Brilliant. Well, I think that's a fabulous place to end, and bringing kindness and love and compassion is just such a wonderful message. We could all do with that even more than ever right now. So I just wanted to say a huge big thank you for coming on to my show, and just so grateful to have interviewed you. Thank you so much.
Unbroken, the podcast, with Madeleine Black, playing now on all the main platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher for Android, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and here. Play Unbroken, the podcast, with Madeleine Black.